When I was 18 years old, living in the most isolated city in the world, which is Perth, Western Australia, moving to the United States felt like the ultimate dream to me. In my eyes, the US was a place of endless opportunities, resources, and most importantly, a place where I could surround myself with like-minded people who were equally passionate about making their dreams a reality. Now, in the present day, I've been living in Boston, Massachusetts for the last 10 months, studying my master's at Harvard University on a full-ride scholarship. And I can tell you firsthand exactly what living in the US is really like. As some foreshadowing, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and there are definitely things that have shocked the hell out of me. So in this video, I want to share the good and not so good aspects of living in the US and studying at an Ivy League school. That way, if you're thinking about making the move, you'll know exactly what you're getting yourself into. So let's dive into it. First, let's start with the positives, because that's always a good place to start. The first key positive that I love about the US is the people and the hustle culture. One of the first things I noticed as soon as I arrived to the US was the hustle culture. Americans have this incredible drive and ambition, and that's something you can't help but admire. Whether you're talking to someone at a coffee shop or a fellow student at Harvard, they don't hesitate to support you in your big ideas. There is this genuine sense of admiration and ambition here in the US that is contagious. It's not about people tearing you down, it's about lifting each other up. And this is so different to my experience in Australia, growing up there for the first 23 years of my life. In Australia, we have this thing called tall poppy syndrome, and it absolutely kills me to my core. Basically, the idea is that if you're too ambitious or you do too much for your age, or just too much in general, people will do everything in their power to cut you down and bring you back down to earth, because it hurts their egos and it makes them feel bad if you're succeeding to a high level. It absolutely kills me in Australia because we have this culture where you can't share your dreams, because if you share your dreams and goals with people in Australia, most of them are just gonna laugh in your face and tell you, like, why would you do that? It's such a waste of time, or you're never gonna achieve it. Whereas in the US, what I love over these last 10 months is I can do exactly what I wanna do without judgment. And when I tell people, they go, hell yeah, like, let me help you, let me connect you with this person so that you can do that. It is such a refreshing mindset. The second key benefit of the US is the opportunities for growth and innovation. The resources here in the US are truly endless. At a place like Harvard especially, there's a wealth of research, funding, and access to the brightest minds in the world, and you could never get that in a country like Australia. This environment has allowed me to grow and innovate and discover what I truly want to do with my life in ways that I never could have imagined. From networking events to startup incubators, there is always something happening in the US, and there is so many opportunities that you can jump on with a little bit of research. And then the third key benefit of the US is this global network and the diverse perspectives. Another positive that I've loved here is how diverse the US is in regards to the types of people coming here. It's a melting pot of the most ambitious people coming from all cultures and backgrounds to places like Boston or New York or LA, and they really want to make something of themselves. Over the last 10 months, I've been exposed to people from all different backgrounds and been exposed to so many new ideas. And this diversity has challenged my ways of thinking and allowed me to grow in, again, ways I couldn't have imagined. And it's the diversity of the US that I think is a big reason why they lead in so many key industries, because there is this sense of just people coming together from all parts of the world who have the ambition to succeed, and then everyone's working together with differing perspectives to make something great happen. Okay, enough with the positives. Now let's talk about some of the challenges that I've experienced living in the US that I didn't have growing up in Australia. The first and foremost is the work culture and the no work-life balance. Like, people in the US need to learn how to have a holiday and take a break. Whilst it's great to have this hustle culture, if there's never any time for downtime or any excuses for not constantly working, you make yourself feel terrible when living here. In the US, there is this expectation that work comes first and everything else is secondary to that. And there was a recent study that came out which determined that Americans work more hours per year than medieval peasants did. The average American works 1,800 hours per year, whilst a medieval peasant would only work 1,600 hours per year. Yep, you've heard it right. In America, that's how intense the working environment is. And if you can't find places to decompress, you're inevitably going to implode. The second key challenge is the cost of living. I mean, when you come from a place like Australia where the Australian dollar is worth nowhere near the amount of the American dollar, you're really gonna struggle really quickly. I mean, let's break down my cost of living at Harvard. Tuition is 60,000 USD a year. Health insurance was like $5,000 for the year, or even more. I might be underestimating that. A single room to like rent in Cambridge, Massachusetts is like 1,500 USD per month. It's nothing special. You share it with other people, but it can get that expensive. And then if you just want a basic meal from a shop, it's like 15 to 20 USD. And these college towns are so expensive. I know this isn't the whole US, but these college towns, I mean, holy moly. And when you convert that to Australian dollars, like when you're using Australian dollars to try and pay for that, it is insane because your currency is 50% more than an Australian dollar. Thankfully, I was able to fund my studies here through winning Harvard's biggest scholarship, but if I didn't have that, I would probably be in pretty big trouble. Now let's talk about challenge number 3, and this is a little bit more controversial, which is the visa and international student uncertainty that I've faced over the last year. Something that has really frustrated me is the uncertainty that you face with being an international student in the US. I'm not here to get political, but as a Harvard student, I've been held in holding rooms for hours when entering back into the US each time. I've had to fly back to Australia, go to other countries throughout the year, and they've literally held me in holding rooms for multiple hours for no reason. This is despite me having all my documents in order, a full ride scholarship to Harvard, and coming from Australia, which traditionally had a good relationship with the US. It feels like there's always this cloud of uncertainty hanging over me, and I don't even know if I get to stay here anymore. Like, it's just so uncertain all the time, and that can really hurt people's mental psyche. And the reality is, I'm not alone, and I don't even have it bad as most international students. Like, I've spoken to so many students who feel so much fear about their visas being revoked. They're canceling trips because they can't leave the US, because if they leave, they're worried they're not going to get back in and get their degree. And this is just a pressure that we don't need. Like, we got accepted, we got our visas, so why do we have to live in fear? Like, it's so silly. Challenge number 4 is tipping culture. This blew me away coming to the US, is how much tipping is just in every part of US life. Like, in the US, you are expected to tip everywhere. Coffee shops, hairdressers, food delivery, you name it, you have to put a tip. And coming from Australia, where like you barely ever tip like people unless the service is so beyond exceptional, this feels like an extra cost on already high prices. Like, it's so expensive in Boston for like a coffee, and then on top of that, you've got to pay a tip. Like, it blows my mind. To me, I just don't fundamentally understand why labor laws can't just make sure that businesses are paying staff adequately like in most other countries. Like, it sucks that the labor force here, particularly in the hospitality industry in America, is reliant on tips. Like, that shouldn't be the case. They should have a stable, steady income that isn't dependent on Americans doing the good work of actually tipping them. Number 5 is pay disparity. And this is kind of on that topic of employment, and it shocks me how prevalent capitalism is here in the US. Like, I didn't realize how good we have it in Australia in regards to labor laws until I got here and realized how like different pay levels are. Like, even at Harvard, when I'm a teaching fellow, I would get paid more like working just in construction back in Australia or working any regular job. Like, the pay rates would be very, very similar. And some of the jobs that people have at Harvard, like, it wouldn't even be considered legal to get paid that little. Like, it blows me away. What I've come to realize is that in the US, like, there is this huge wealth divide where like there's the top 1% who have heaps, all the money, and then everyone else is left struggling. And it just really breaks my heart, to be honest. And I found it to be such a huge challenge here. Like, when you try and pick up a job like working at Harvard and the pay rate is like nothing, and I could literally get paid more doing any other job in Australia. It just blows my mind that this is a reality. And Harvard's like a top institution, and they should be paying staff adequately. And challenge number 6 is the food quality. It's blown me away how difficult it is to get into my 5 fruits and veg every single day living in America. The food quality in general is really interesting in regards to like the quality of the meat that is being provided, but then also just like the availability of healthy foods. They're always so expensive at supermarkets. It blows me away that like there'll just be like little tables for fruit and veg, whereas like in Australia, a third of the store is dedicated towards like fruit and veg. It's just fascinating how those are cultural differences, and why it's so difficult to get healthy, fresh food in America. Like, it definitely is a challenge. So as we close out this video, I just wanted to give an honest review about my experience in the US. I want to say I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I've fundamentally loved my time in the US, and I'm so privileged that I got to come here. Like, it's been a life-changing experience that I would recommend to everyone, provided that you feel comfortable with your visa documentation, passports, and all of that that's going on at the moment. When I compare the US to Australia, I believe that the US really shines in its ambition, ambition and its ability to support people's dreams. Like, it really lets its people give the American dream a go. Like, if you want to do something, people aren't going to tear you down here. They're actually going to back you in. Whereas if you grow up in like a place like Australia, people will try and crush your dreams the moment you step outside of like what is considered normal. And that can be really soul crushing. So there is pros and cons to both countries. But as an international student, I would still recommend that you take the leap and come over to a school like here if you get in, because I mean, the growth opportunities are incredible. At the end of the day, this is just my experience over the last 10 months in the US, but take it with a grain of salt because everyone experiences this place differently. And I still think that if you can pursue a college degree here, you should definitely try and go for it, particularly if you've got that scholarship funding. And good luck!